really interesting. I mean, sadly the pandemic has had an impact on a lot of young people's lives, but those skills and experiences of, that novels are absolutely constant.
For years, one royal managed to stay out of the chaos. No scandals, no feuds, no attention-grabbing headlines. While the rest of the royal family became tabloid favourites, Prince Edward remained silent in the shadows. But that calm streak just shattered in a shocking way. Suddenly, his name is plastered across every headline because of 5 haunting words. I tried to warn her. Now everyone's asking, who was he warning and what was he trying to stop? What could have possibly pushed the Queen's quietest son to finally break his silence after all these years? The royal tea is scorching hot, and it's spilling fast. Most people forget Queen Elizabeth II actually had 4 children. Everyone knows about King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince Andrew, the ones who've dominated the spotlight for decades. But her youngest son, Prince Edward, has always been the quiet one. While his siblings battled controversies and played out their royal dramas under flashing cameras, Edward stayed low-key. He lived his life far from the headlines, keeping his image squeaky clean, until now. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, he dropped those 5 words that sent shockwaves through royal circles. I tried to warn her! That single statement blew up overnight. Fans and royal watchers went wild, trying to figure out who her really was and what he was warning about. And of course, many fingers immediately pointed toward Meghan Markle. Ever since she and Prince Harry stepped back from royal duties in 2020, tension between them and the royal family has been intense. Some believe Edward was hinting about her all along. Over the past few years, Prince Edward's quiet remarks have started sounding a lot more revealing. Back when Meghan and Harry's royal drama first hit the headlines, Edward called the whole situation very sad. He admitted that what they were going through wasn't easy and added that family matters are always complicated. He even said he wished them nothing but the best, a rare show of empathy from someone known for keeping things low-key. When Harry and Meghan named their daughter Lilibet after the Queen's private family nickname, Edward publicly congratulated them and called it fantastic news. But even then, insiders say there was tension behind palace doors. Many believed the royals felt uneasy about using such a deeply personal name, even if they'd never say it outright. Edward also acknowledged how painful it can be to have private struggles play out for the world to see. He hinted that being under the spotlight takes a toll, saying every royal faces intense scrutiny, but each handles it in their own way. Fans immediately saw that as a subtle nod to Harry and Meghan's explosive exit and the storm that followed. And then came that interview moment. When Edward and Sophie were asked about Harry and Meghan's now infamous sit-down with Oprah, their reaction went viral. Edward smirked and said, "Oprah? Who?" while Sophie chimed in with, "What interview?" Their dry humour had reporters laughing, but it also raised serious eyebrows. Later, Sophie even defended the Archbishop of Canterbury, who once chatted with Oprah at the royal wedding without realising who she was. Sophie shrugged it off, saying not everyone in the UK keeps up with American talk shows. But that comment only added more fuel to the gossip fire. People have started calling Prince Edward and Sophie the royal family's new ambassadors. And honestly, it fits perfectly. While others were tangled up in endless drama and scandals, these two just kept their heads down and did the work. No chaos, no competition, just quiet, loyal service to the crown. But all that calm took a sharp turn the moment Edward's 5 haunting words resurfaced. I tried to warn her. Suddenly, the royal who's usually overlooked became the centre of attention. Those words sparked a storm of curiosity. Was it a warning that went unheard? Or something he now regrets not shouting louder? Whatever the truth, one thing's undeniable. After years of silence, the world is finally listening to Prince Edward. And now that the spotlight's on him, people are asking the big question, who really is Prince Edward? Because this once quiet royal isn't just the Queen's youngest son anymore. In 2023, everything finally came full circle for Prince Edward. On his 59th birthday, King Charles made it official. Edward was granted the title that once belonged to his late father, Prince Philip. He became the Duke of Edinburgh, one of the most respected and historic titles in the royal family. According to Buckingham Palace, the title is Edward's for life, marking a powerful new chapter in his royal journey. His wife, Sophie, now proudly holds the title of Duchess of Edinburgh, and together the two have vowed to continue Prince Philip's powerful legacy, championing young people, promoting education, and opening doors of opportunity for every background. It's not just about wearing crowns or attending galas. For them, it's about carrying on a mission rooted in purpose and service. The title of Duke of Edinburgh has a long emotional history. It was first given to Prince Philip back in 1947, the very year he married the then Princess Elizabeth. For 5 beautiful years before she ascended the throne, she was known as the Duchess of Edinburgh. So when the title passed to their youngest son, it wasn't just a formal gesture, it was a heartfelt tribute. It linked Edward directly to both his father's enduring strength and his mother's royal grace. What makes it even more intriguing is how long this moment had been quietly brewing behind palace walls. For years, it was widely believed Edward would inherit his father's title one day, but the wait seemed endless. When Edward's brothers, King Charles and Prince Andrew, became the Dukes of Cornwall and York, people couldn't help but wonder, why didn't Edward get a dukedom like them? The answer, it turns out, is surprisingly personal, and honestly, kind of fascinating. According to one royal courtier, Edward was originally set to become the Duke of Cambridge, the very title that now belongs to Prince William, but fate took a quirky turn. After watching the Oscar-winning film Shakespeare in Love, Edward reportedly became intrigued by a character named Lord Wessex. He liked the sound of it, the charm, the history, the mystery. So, he went straight to the Queen and asked if he could take that title instead. And just like that, she agreed. That's how he became the Earl of Wessex, all because of one movie. Now here's the twist. Wessex isn't even a real region anymore. It was an ancient Anglo-Saxon kingdom, often tied to the legends of King Arthur and romanticized in the works of Thomas Hardy. Choosing a name from myth and story instead of modern geography showed exactly who Edward is, a royal who follows his own instincts, not just old traditions. Still, for years, the title of Earl felt like it was just temporary, a placeholder until the time was right. After Prince Philip's death, the Duke of Edinburgh title technically returned to the crown, meaning it went to King Charles. That gave Charles the power to decide who would inherit it next. And now, that long-awaited moment has finally come true. Prince Edward officially holds the title of Duke of Edinburgh, and in many ways, it feels like balance has been restored among the royal brothers. King Charles wears the crown, Prince Andrew still clings to his title despite years of controversy, and Edward, the quiet, steady one, has finally received the recognition he's truly earned. For decades, Edward worked behind the scenes, away from drama and headlines. While others battled public scandals, he remained loyal, dedicated, and focused on duty. His new role isn't just symbolic, it's a genuine acknowledgement of his faithfulness and deep bond with both of his late parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. It's as if the monarchy finally said, "We see you, Edward." The royal family even made the update official on their website, proudly listing Edward's new position. A sign that this isn't just another title, but a powerful moment in royal history. And while titles might seem meaningless to most people, inside the palace they hold tremendous weight, carrying with them history, responsibility, and legacy. For the new Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, this marks the start of a brand new chapter. One grounded in quiet service, family tradition, and a very royal kind of redemption. But even the most dedicated royals need someone to lean on. A person who keeps them grounded when the crown feels heavy and the spotlight burns too bright. Amid all the royal chaos, one couple has managed to stand tall through it all, Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. In a royal world where marriages often crack under the weight of titles and tabloids, theirs hasn't just survived, it's flourished. On June 19, 2024, they celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary, looking stronger and more in love than ever. A true symbol of loyalty, partnership, and friendship that's built to last. Just a few months earlier, in March 2024, when Edward turned 60, the emotional depth of their bond became crystal clear. During a royal engagement in Leeds, Sophie gave her husband a rare, heartfelt tribute that melted hearts everywhere. She called him the best father, the most loving husband, and my dearest friend. You could see the emotion in Edward's eyes as she spoke, especially when she compared him to his late father, Prince Philip, calling them two men devoted to family and duty. Her toast ended with a line that had everyone tearing up. "Here's to you, my darling Edward. May I, along with your family, friends, and so many others, wish you the happiest of birthdays. It was pure love, simple, powerful, and deeply sincere. Edward, never one to seek the spotlight, also let his softer side show. In a candid moment on Alan Titchmarsh's radio show, he spoke about how much his family means to him. He called them brilliant, proudly talking about Sophie, their daughter Lady Louise, and their son James, Duke of Edinburgh's heir. You could tell his love and pride run deep. So, how did it all begin? The royal love story of Prince Edward and Sophie Rhys-Jones started way back in 1987 when Edward was just 23 and Sophie was 22. They met at Capital Radio, where Sophie worked in public relations. But here's the twist. Sparks didn't fly immediately. In fact, Edward was actually dating one of Sophie's friends at the time. Talk about royal timing, right? It wasn't until 6 years later, in 1993, that fate decided to play matchmaker again. Sophie was hired to handle publicity for one of Edward's charity events, a real tennis challenge. This time, something clicked. They bonded instantly over sports, the outdoors, and their mutual love for the arts. Before long, they were spending more time together, and their first proper date, a tennis match followed by dinner at Buckingham Palace. Pretty iconic for a first date. By the end of that year, whispers of their budding romance had already reached the press. Royal biographer Andrew Morton was one of the first to pick up the story, and soon reporters were swarming for details. But Edward wasn't about to let history repeat itself with the kind of intrusive attention that had destroyed other royal relationships. In a bold and rare move, he released a personal statement asking the media to back off. He pleaded with them not to destroy the part of his life he considered private, and most importantly, to respect Sophie's privacy. And I think having those times together in the summer really allowed their relationship to grow. They were, in many ways, far more fortunate than most royal couples before them. Around this time, reports began to surface that Sophie had moved into Buckingham Palace, a gesture typically reserved for a fiancé. As their relationship became more public, the pressure started to mount. The media hounded Edward with questions about when he would finally propose. When asked by a Radio Times reporter, he reportedly snapped that the more people kept quiet and minded their business, the more likely it would happen. Behind the scenes, royal biographers believe Princess Diana's explosive panorama interview in 1995 briefly stalled the engagement plans. But in time, love won. During a winter holiday in the Bahamas, Edward finally popped the question after 5 years of dating. The engagement was announced shortly after, although the Sun had already leaked the story. Reflecting on the long wait, Edward admitted he couldn't quite explain the delay, but said it wouldn't have felt right before, and he doubted Sophie would have said yes any earlier. The service began at 5 p.m, and unlike most royal weddings, there was no pressure for female guests to wear hats, though, of course, the Queen Mother did. In a notable break from tradition, Edward declined the offer of a dukedom. Instead, he chose the title Earl of Wessex, inspired by a noble-sounding character he had seen in the film Shakespeare in Love. Despite Sophie's professional background in public relations, her early relationship with the press proved rocky. One major setback came when she was caught in a news of the world sting, speaking candidly, and at times critically, about senior royals, including Charles and Camilla, as well as Cherie Blair. But what truly ended her PR career was the suggestion that her royal status might benefit her business interests. Following the controversy, Sophie stepped down from her firm RJA Public Relations. Around the same time, Edward also closed his struggling television production company, Ardent Productions. From that point on, both devoted themselves fully to royal duties, yet challenges soon followed at home. In 2001, Sophie suffered a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy. 2 years later, their daughter, Lady Louise Windsor, was born prematurely via emergency C-section due to a placental abruption. Edward was away on royal duty in Mauritius and missed the birth, but Queen Elizabeth herself visited Sophie in the hospital, a rare and deeply personal gesture that spoke volumes. Though he could have been styled as a prince, they again chose a lower title, Viscount Severn, reflecting Edward's position as an earl at the time. Over the years, Edward and Sophie quietly became one of the royal family's most dependable pairs. Representing the monarchy with dignity and consistency, they stepped up during key moments, especially after the passing of Prince Philip and later, Queen Elizabeth II. Their children, now growing into adulthood, are finding their own paths. Lady Louise is currently studying at the University of St Andrews, while James, the young Earl of Wessex, remains at home. Then, on Edward's 59th birthday, March 10, 2023, came a long-awaited moment. King Charles officially granted him the title Duke of Edinburgh, the same title once held by their father, Prince Philip. Sophie became Duchess of Edinburgh, and both were said to be deeply moved by the honour. It was a full-circle moment, linking Edward directly to the legacy of the late Duke, who had always hoped his youngest son would one day inherit the name. Just a few months later, on their 24th wedding anniversary in June 2023, Edward and Sophie returned to where it all began, St. George's Chapel, for the annual Order of the Garter ceremony. They stood proudly alongside King Charles, Queen Camilla, Princess Anne, and the Prince and Princess of Wales. Sophie turned heads in an elegant Amelia Wickstead dress, paired with a Philip Treacy hat and Strathbury bag, while Edward looked every inch the royal in his ceremonial robes. As they move forward with their children growing up and their royal responsibilities increasing, it's clear that the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh are more than just survivors of the royal machine. They're two of its strongest pillars, and through it all, they still look at each other the way they did on their wedding day, with admiration, trust, and a bond that, even within royal circles, is rare. While Prince Edward's marriage has been a story of quiet success, there's another chapter of his life that deserves just as much recognition: his tireless philanthropy. For decades, Prince Edward has built a legacy not through drama or headlines, but through steadfast dedication to service. His focus has always been on people, especially young people, empowering them through education, sport, and the arts. He later took over as president of the Royal Windsor Horse Show and became patron of London Youth, an organisation his father had supported for more than 70 years. He also served twice as Lord High Commissioner to the Church of Scotland, representing the King with dignity and grace. Prince Edward's commitment to the Duke of Edinburgh's award has been nothing short of extraordinary. Under his guidance, the programme expanded to more than 130 countries, giving millions of young people the chance to challenge themselves, serve their communities, and discover their potential. For Edward, it's not just about medals or milestones. It's about the quiet transformation that happens when a young person realises they're capable of more than they ever imagined. Beyond the award, his dedication to education and youth development runs deep. As the patron of the National Youth Theatre and the Association of British Theatre Technicians, Edward has tirelessly promoted the performing arts as a vital space for creativity and confidence. He's a strong believer that the arts don't just entertain, they inspire, unite, and teach empathy, skills that go far beyond the stage. His influence also extends into sports and outdoor learning. He supports countless organisations that encourage teamwork, discipline, and healthy competition, values that mirror his own approach to life. From local youth clubs to international sporting initiatives, Edward's presence has often been quiet, but always impactful. Alongside Sophie, he's also championed causes close to their hearts, from supporting those with disabilities to improving access to education in underprivileged areas. Together, they've undertaken hundreds of engagements every year, not for publicity, but out of a genuine belief in the power of service. Their shared commitment has earned them admiration from both within and outside royal circles. Where some royal figures have struggled with purpose, Edward and Sophie have found theirs in helping others. And now, as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, their story feels complete, not because it's reached its end, but because it's come full circle. The title once carried by his father, Prince Philip, a man known for discipline, integrity, and devotion to duty, now rests on the shoulders of a son who quietly embodies those same virtues. Prince Edward's journey has never been about headlines or grand gestures. It's been about consistency, the kind of steady, unwavering service that defines true legacy. In honouring his parents' memory, in serving his country with humility, and in building a family grounded in love and respect, he has become not just the Duke of Edinburgh, but the beating heart of a modern, evolving monarchy. Over the decades, Prince Edward has quietly built one of the most impressive philanthropic portfolios in the royal family. While others often capture the headlines, he has chosen a different path, one that prioritises consistency over spectacle and genuine impact over recognition. Through his work with the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award Foundation, Edward has travelled across continents, meeting students, teachers, and young leaders who've been transformed by the programme. From small rural schools in Africa to bustling youth centres in Asia, He's seen firsthand how opportunity can change a life. His approach is hands-on and personal. Those who've met him often describe him as humble, attentive, and deeply interested in people's stories, not as a prince, but as a mentor. In the United Kingdom, he serves as patron or president of more than 70 organisations, many of which focus on empowering young people through education, skill building, and the performing arts. As patron of the Production Guild of Great Britain and Northern Ballet, and supporter of the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, he has consistently championed the importance of creativity and culture in shaping society. He believes the arts give young minds a voice, a place to belong and express themselves freely, something he's called as essential to growth as education itself. His love for sports, too, has translated into active support for several athletic and adventure programs. Whether it's sailing challenges, endurance competitions, or community fitness initiatives, Edward promotes the values of resilience and teamwork, echoing the spirit of his father's lifelong devotion to self-improvement and discipline. Then there's his advocacy for accessibility and inclusion. He's been a long-time patron of charities supporting those with disabilities, such as the National Autistic Society and the Vision Foundation, working quietly to ensure equal access to education, careers, and cultural spaces. Both Edward and Sophie have been praised for the sincerity of their visits, staying longer than scheduled, talking directly with children, parents, and caregivers, often without cameras or press. Together, the Duke and Duchess have also shown unwavering compassion in times of crisis. Following the pandemic, their outreach to communities across the UK, from hospitals to food banks, left a lasting impression. They listened, comforted, and supported people in ways that felt deeply personal. That connection has earned them not just public respect, but genuine affection. Through all of this, Edward's philosophy has remained simple, that titles and honours mean little without purpose, and that service, done quietly and faithfully, can ripple further than any speech or ceremony. And now, as the Duke of Edinburgh, his story feels like a tribute to 2 generations before him. His father, Prince Philip, defined the title through discipline and innovation. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, defined it through duty and faith. Edward, in turn, defines it through empathy and steadiness, a new interpretation of what it means to serve. He has become, in many ways, the bridge between tradition and modernity, the royal who never sought the spotlight, yet somehow embodies the best of what the monarchy hopes to be in this century: compassionate, grounded, and relevant. As the next generation, William, Catherine, and their children prepare to carry the monarchy forward, the example of Edward and Sophie stands quietly behind them, a reminder that lasting influence doesn't come from noise, but from heart. And perhaps that's why, when people speak of the Duke of Edinburgh today, they don't just think of a title passed from father to son, they think of a legacy continued, one built not on power or privilege, but on patience, loyalty, and love. In 2019, Edward was granted the title Earl of Forfar, and during his visit to the town, he was presented with a custom tartan designed especially in his honour, a small but deeply meaningful tribute that reflected his connection to the people. Throughout his royal life, Prince Edward has made a habit of building those connections, quietly, sincerely, and without fanfare. He may not be the most talked about royal, but he is undoubtedly one of the most consistent. While others have chased headlines, Edward has focused on service, raising funds, meeting young people, championing the arts, and supporting causes that create real change. In doing so, he's built a legacy not defined by drama, but by dedication, one that will endure long after the cameras move on. What do you think about Prince Edward's journey? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Up next, click the video on your screen to watch another fascinating royal story. You won't want to miss it.